Welcome to our workshop, The Way Back, Recovery After Trauma. This is a workshop intended for those of you that are trying to or have recently left a domestic violence situation. It's also helpful for those attempting to support those that are trying to find their way back. So I am Nicole Metzger. I'm the founder of Intimate Partner Violence Defense and Recovery. We work directly with survivors and connect them to resources. This includes legal, mental health, and social services. Remember, you are never alone. We are not the only kids on the block in that respect. There are many, many organizations that do cater to preventing and recovering from intimate partner violence. So I'm just one of many, but we do have a great little team. We're going to break this down into little sections. So the first one is about leaving and making sure that you can do so safely. The next one is reconnecting. Once you've been isolated and separated, it can be very hard to rebuild those bonds. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then breaking habits. When you're dealing with conditioning and training, that can be a big deal. So we're going to talk about reprogramming and getting back to not what you've been taught to enjoy and look for, but what you want to. And the last section is Forever Stronger. That is going to be our wrap-up, ensuring and reminding that this isn't a short-term thing. This is for long-term longevity. So these changes are going to be permanent. So the first section, leaving safely, is going to start out with some tips, or we're going to go over some tips to make sure that you do so, leave in the best possible way that you can to ensure that there's no hiccups or anything stopping you. First is timing matters. So part of recovery is learning to trust yourself again, so that while many people may want you to leave regardless or immediately, trust yourself. If you independently and realistically feel that it's not safe to leave, please don't do so. Make appropriate arrangements and leave as soon as it is safe. Everybody is going to want to talk about how this should be an immediate transition, but you know your situation best and you know your partner best, and things that might get you into hot water. So it is important to get out as soon as you can, but it's also important to be safe. There's an old adage that people talk about saying a restraining order is just a piece of paper, and that's not entirely true. While it won't prevent somebody from showing up, it is important to have that, especially in a legal sense. You can read through some of these bullet points, but it is important because legally it shows that you have taken appropriate steps to protect yourself, and it shows that that person isn't supposed to be where they are. So if you do have to call the police, they can't easily manipulate them into saying that there was some question as to whether or not they should be there. If you do have a restraining order, there's no question of that. It is also very important if you do have to go to court later, so you can show that that is a part of the history of abuse and that concerns were there. So it is an important piece of paper. Planning in advance, you want to line up finances, housing. Make sure you set up separate communications, phones, email, so that you can make these arrangements privately. And don't forget to reach out to your local defense and domestic violence advocates. We are here to help you get out. That is part of what we do. And there's a lot of great resources that we may be able to link you up with. So don't feel like you have to do it alone. Ask us for help, or your local domestic violence, your domestic violence area coverage, whatever that may be. So make sure that you get help. And the separate communications and housing, just do yourself a favor and make sure that those addresses are not connected to anything that you may have before you actually leave. So make sure that those stay secret and with you. Document everything before you leave. Instances of physical violence, medical records that are pertaining to that. Document property damage, financial fraud, mail or communications tampering, illegal activity or drug and alcohol abuse, and threats. These will all stand as evidence later and could prove very, very important when it comes to a he said, she said situation. So make sure that you're documenting. And we are going to talk a little bit about reconnecting interpersonal relationships. Reaching out for others is important for both of you. Your family has missed you. They've wondered how you are. And they have been put through a bit of a time too. So be sure that, you reach out and let them know that it is okay to talk to you now and that you do need them. It's going to make them feel so good and you're not going to have to be alone. So it's really important to take the first step and reach out and remind them that, yes, I do want you there. They've been conditioned too, so that's something to be cognizant of. They have been taught not to come to you, not to talk to you, and to stay out of your business. So they are dealing with as much conditioning as you are. That is really important to remember. So remember to invite them back into your life and let them know that they are welcome. And on that same note, if it is something that you need distance from or people that you need distance from, remember to listen to yourself too. That's for a reason. Knowing your limits is important, as we just mentioned. So you have to know when you do need alone time or when you may need to cut off that social interaction. Breaking your habits is the hardest part. Deliberate changes can include some of these things, like finding new music, wearing new lipstick that you weren't allowed to previously, changing location. Make sure that you make deliberate changes. This is all part of rediscovering what you like and what you want for yourself. Journal. Some of the questions that you can ask yourself in this journal, and you can use this to relearn yourself, is what patterns do you notice? Are there any that you want to change? Is something reoccurring frequently? Is it a positive or a negative? Are there habits that were trained into you by abuse, and do you still like those habits for yourself? Or are they things that you want to deprogram? Take a moment and think of these questions. Are there any so prevalent that they immediately came to mind for you? This is going to be a powerful way to relearn yourself, is retracing your steps and making considerations along the way. And remember to be patient. This isn't going to be overnight. It's going to take time, and that's okay too. And you may not want to lose some of these bad habits, even if you know you need to. That's not necessarily a negative. So don't be too hard on yourself. It has to last. So these core skills can be present to make lasting change. Small steps and keep them coming, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Personal and professional services are there for you. Make use of them, and this upgrade is a forever change for you. So remember, this isn't short term. We want this to last forever, right? And most importantly, thank you for your strength. Thank you for being an example to others. And thank you for being the reason another person says, if they can, so can I. Don't discount that people are watching, and you really are showing them that they can be stronger. Thank you so much for joining me on this workshop. If you want any further information, please go ahead and feel free to reach out online. I'm on my email frequently, and I look forward to seeing you all in our next workshop that I'm hoping to schedule soon. Have a great day, and remember, thank you so much for your strength.